I know, Jack, I'm just not having a good feeling about this.
Well, do not sabotage me. If you decide to be a lightweight, that's your problem. But do not sabotage me.
Aye, Captain.
If they want to drink Merlot, let's all drink and enjoy Merlot, okay?
No! If anyone orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
Take it easy. Relax. Relax, Miles. Did you bring your Xanax? Okay. Let's go. Let's rock and roll. Bonsoir, dear friends, and welcome to JCB Live. Quite alive in the historical cellars of Buena Vista. I'm with quite the man who wrote the infamous words behind Miles and Jack, the famous movie, the most awarded movie in the history of the wine world, Sideways. Wasn't it fun? So I'm delighted, dear friends, to invite an amazing author, the man behind so many great plays and soon to be something new. There's a big scoop which will happen here in September. Let's welcome the fabulous Rex Pickett. Rex, thank you so much for
Thank you.
this fabulous time
Thank you for having me.
outside of the restaurant, getting me to not being sabotaged by anything. Woo! So Rex, what was in your mind when you wrote this famous, extraordinary scene?
Well, when I wrote the scene, I didn't know there was going to be a movie. You know, I'm just hoping to sell a book. I had no money. I was dead broke. I was at the end of my rope, whatever. So, you know, when it becomes a movie, you don't know if the line is even going to make it to the movie. I did not do the adaptation. And you don't know that the line makes it in the movie, and then Paul Giamatti delivers it with such venom, you know, and then it would like capsize an entire industry. You don't know these concatenation of events, you know.
So, but what were you thinking as you wrote the book? I mean, raised in California, so you were already acquainted a little bit with wine. But what crossed your mind just to build a whole book around two friends going to visit the wine country?
Well, in the 90s, my life went into the shit can, the merde can. And my mother had had a massive stroke, and my younger brother took over her care, and he basically gutted all her money and whatever. I went through a divorce. I'd made 2 feature films. I was nowhere, totally nowhere in my life. So I went back up to Santa Monica, where I had a rent-controlled apartment. And like writers, we're always thinking. We're like thieves. We're always working.
That's right.
We're always working. So I started going to this little store called Epicurus. They had wine tastings in the back. And I was dead broke, but it was right on the border between the rich and the rent control people on Montana Avenue in Santa Monica. And we had these little wine tastings there. And I actually started to learn more about wine. I always drank wine, but I didn't know a lot. And these people knew a lot. And so there was a peer group pressure to know more. Then I started going up to the San Ynez Valley, which is about 2.5 hours north of LA, to get out, just to get away. My life was so crappy, you don't even know. I had process servers knocking on my door to serve me whatever. It was terrible time, okay? And I got up there, wine tasting. It was free. Now it's $100 a person, whatever.
So free wine tasting?
Free wine tasting. And
let's have a toast to that at least.
And I would be the only one, I'd be the only one in the tasting room. You know, and I actually went up there to play golf initially because there's a great golf course. But I'm always thinking, you know, always ideating. And I started going over to Hitching Post, you know, just to have there was no one there at the bar. And I'd meet winemakers. But once I went up with a friend of mine who's like you. His name's Roy Gittins. He was an electrician on my second feature film. And he is like, catnip to women. He is extroverted. He is.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah, ladies. You should. The women, you know, and so we went up there and we had 2 nights and 2 days, whatever. And we stopped at Fess Parker Winery, and Fess Parker was there. He's passed away now. He was wearing his coonskin cap.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and he said,
that's how I met him too.
Really? Mm-hmm. And he said, what do you do? I said, I'm a writer. I was a little looped at this point. I was, you know, so what do you do? I'm a writer. I said, what are you writing? I go, I'm going to write a script called 2 Guys on Wine. So he wrote on a bottle for 2 Guys on Wine, best Fess. I came back and wrote a screenplay called Two Guys on Wine, but I didn't like it, didn't work. Then I started writing a short story that took place at this little wine store, Epicurus. But the short story, I'm getting to the end, was written in first person, and I got to the end of it. I've never had this happen in my life.
So it was you.
I stood up and I said, oh my God, that's the prologue to the screenplay. It's going to be a novel. It's going to be me in first person, that voice that you're hearing right now.
Yes.
And I wrote the first draft in 9 weeks. With my friend
9 weeks.
Yeah, with my friend Roy as the voice of Jack, and all these places I'd been to, all the wine tasting wine. But now I needed conflict. See, all drama needs conflict. So all you have to do now is now enter the women. Now you have conflict. You know about this, John Charles. Yeah, okay. I think you know something about this.
Well, all of us have watched the movie, and if you haven't, you're going to watch it again. Is there a way to actually read the screenplay as well?
Yes, there is. It was published. The screenplay won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. It won the WGA Award for the Best Adaptation. It won every award that a screenplay could win that year. From New York Film Critics, LA Film Critics, every award it could win.
This is a huge deal.
Yeah, but they don't give the Oscar to the guy who wrote the source material.
Why is that?
Well, because let's say you just wrote like a one-page article and they made a movie out of it, they're going to give it to the... That's their thinking. But the truth is...
Yeah, but in that case, you wrote the whole thing.
Yeah, they basically... Well, Alexander Payne, who directed it and co-adapted it, and he basically did the adaptation. He said, Rex, he thinks like a screenwriter. It was a cornucopia of riches. I'm quoting him. It was all I had to do was distill down the best little nuggets. He gave me that credit, which was nice of him. But I don't hold the Oscar. And my ex-wife has an Oscar for a short film I wrote. They don't give that to the guy who wrote the short film, only to the director.
Which one was that?
It's called My Mother Dreams, The Satan's Disciples in New York. And I wrote the script in 3 days. It was her American Film Institute thesis film. And it won the 2000 Academy Award for Best Live Action Short. Yes.
What a deal. So you have 2
Oscars, yes.
Oscars.
But not in my hand.
Well, they're in your soul.
Yeah, right.
They're in your mind.
Well,
and they're the reality because you're the one who actually wrote those amazing scripts.
Yeah, I needed you to be my agent.
But this is
I could have retired
amazing.
10 years ago.
So tell us about how you wrote over the 9 weeks this amazing play in many ways. How did you moved to the wine country and you pull your computer and you were in the
No, I was living in
countryside?
a rent control house.
So you went back home.
I went back home. I would just go up there for like 3-day jaunts. That's all I could afford. I'd go stay at the Windmill Inn, which was $29.95 a night. It's now the Sideways Inn.
Are you serious? Yeah. What an influence.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. But no, I wrote, 6 days a week. And when you're done, I was kind of scared because I bared my soul.
That's right.
As I told you
very
earlier,
personal movie in a way.
Yeah, it is a very
movie.
Very personal. And then I did another draft, cleaned up. I gave it to my agent, and I gave it to 1 or 2 other people, and they went nuts for it. My agent went really nuts at Endeavor. And then I showed it to some other people. I showed it to my ex-wife because she had produced my 2 feature films I directed, and she told me to burn it.
To burn it?
To burn it.
Why would you be so dramatic?
Because
she knew it was you?
It was so personal. Yes, of course. It's written in first person. It's clearly me, bearing my soul. It's completely self-effacing. I also probably made a couple comments about Miles's ex-wife not being all that great in bed.
Victoria, right?
Yeah. So maybe she took umbrage at that. I don't know. Women can be...
Was it the case? She's watching.
Ask her new husband. And then a woman I just started dating, really smart woman. I just started whatever. She wanted to read this book that everyone was like, there was a lot of buzz around it.
Yes.
And I gave it to her and she came over and she says, I can't see you anymore.
What is it as big as the one in the movie? 2 big boxes as Miles passes on to...
Well, that was a joke. Payne is making fun of me because this novel was only 70,000 words long. So it's only about this big. And she said, I can't see you anymore because how could you be so personal? She said, he accused me of being personal. It took a year before Alexander Payne read it. My agent who got it to him, he had a nervous breakdown and left the business. In fact, the last time I saw him, I walked him to a psychiatrist's office. Now, see, you have to understand, John Charles.
I didn't know the sip on this one.
Yeah. You have to understand, John Charles, in Hollywood, the agent walks the client to the psychiatrist's office. So this is like a role reversal. I'm not the guy to walk you to your shrink's office. I'm the one who needs, mental health.
Well, I think we all need
right. But we can't all afford one. But anyway, so literally the novel had been given to Alexander Payne's agent. Everyone else had given up on it. The publishing, it also went out to publishing and film. Publishing industry, it ultimately had 240 rejection letters, which are all in my archive now in the Rex Pickett papers at Geisel Library. But one day, so I have a new agent, there's a new plan to go out with it, whatever, but it'd been given to Alexander Payne's agent, David Launer. His assistant read it and just loved it and gave it to Payne. I don't even know any of this is happening. I'd just come back from Baja Fresh, like a McDonald's or something, and my credit card had been declined for $6.
Ay, ay, ay.
And I had a phone message.
Were you already working on something else before that phone message?
No, I was working on where the tallest building was. That's all I was focused on. I was
really.
I thought this was it. Now, I mean, everyone went nuts for the book, and we couldn't sell it to film anywhere. There was one message I'm answering, one. I thought it was a creditor. It was Alexander Payne's, my agent, calling. Alexander Payne just got off an airplane. He read your novel. Oh my God, it's going to be his next movie. Yeah, I'm sitting there.
And you knew Alexander Payne already?
No, of course not. I didn't know him. And so I met him, and the film was greenlit by Artisan Entertainment for $10 million. We took a trip up the San Ynez Valley together, and he was so excited. And then I get a call one day, Rex, I'm going to go make this other movie called About Schmidt. I'm going to wait another 2 or 3 years, because that's how long it takes, pre-production, post-production, everything else. But he did come back, and we did it with Fox Search, but I had to sweat out another 2 years. But they did option it, so I got a little rent money out of that, John Charles. It was a tough time.
It is a tough time, isn't it?
Honestly, though, I'm writing my autobiography. So it's called My Life on Spec, and it's 3 volumes. And
3 volumes?
Yeah, in fact, I have an ex-girlfriend who said, I hope other people are as interested in your life as you are, Rex. But
I'm sure.
Which I thought was pretty.
Well, all of us are breathless already because it's so fascinating.
But you know what? It's a story of redemption. I mean, I had made, my ex-wife actually comes from a fairly wealthy family, so we were able to make these 2 feature films. Yeah. But the second one, even though we sold it, it did bomb. I was nowhere. My mom and everything had happened with her, and my modest trust fund just ripped off by my younger brother and everything, and I took care of my mom.
But you kept writing, which is amazing.
There's nothing else. Yeah. Look, you're 38, you're 40. You can't go get a job as a waiter if you don't have a resume. Yeah. It's too late. This is all I do. But forget that. That's all I do anyway. I'm an artist. I don't care. When I was 18 years old, when I just, embarked on wanting to write, it was either that or nothing, John Charles. I was not.
Really?
Yeah, I was not going to do. And filmmaking is storytelling. That's it. I'm not going to do anything else.
You believe in fate? Do you think that was your life as it was written for you?
The great golfer Ben Hogan was once asked if golf was a game of luck.
Yeah.
And you know what he said? The harder I practice, the luckier I get. So you just have to keep doing it. Mm-hmm. And the more you do it, the luckier you'll get. But you will meet people. You will get to people. I'm with you now, but I've got to have the goods. And Sideways appeared to be that. And then for a year, nobody wanted it. And then one guy, Alexander Payne, wanted it. And yes, we had to wait. But when he made it, how could so many people be so wrong? The film grossed over $500 million. I don't know. And
That's
now here we are at great.
Well, before
beautiful,
we go there,
okay.
though.
All right.
Rex, how did you know at 18 that was your destiny to write? How did you, because you were raised in a fabulous family, but more military style. Yeah. You were raised certainly in probably a very disciplined environment where creativity was maybe not as encouraged. I'm not sure.
Well, my father was a captain in the Air Force. Yeah. He actually flew the last year of World War II. They flew the hump. They flew over the Himalayas to support the war against the Japanese in China, and they lost 2/3 of their pilots. So he was fighting for you. 2/3 of their pilots, and then when the war ended.
Thank you to all the captains and all the military people who come and save us in France.
He was a real risk taker, and I could tell you stories, but we don't have enough time for it. But when he got out, I guess he drank too much one night, and not my mother, but he had a previous wife, I found out later, a major colonel insulted his wife or hit on her. My dad punched him out, and they grounded him. And he said, you know what, screw you, I'm out of the Air Force. He gave up a whole career because they grounded him for punching out a major colonel. And with 3 kids, he drives to San Diego. He's got $500 to his name. That's it. I mean, there were a few other stories between there, and he started
That
over.
would be a good movie in itself.
So my father really wasn't really a martinet. He wasn't really militaristic in that way. He was a risk taker.
Yeah.
He took risks. He got into the laundry business and he did well. And I'm not super rich, but at one point, I got to tell you this definitive. In, I don't know, 1980, 82, he showed me a condominium in La Jolla. He says, I will buy you that and you will take over Rex Pickett and Associates leasing. So he sold laundry equipment and he saw leasing going into apartment. I could have been very rich. And I said, no, I'm going to LA to be a filmmaker, a writer. And
how did he react to that?
Not good, not good. And he saw us all dream.
But you continued with the dream. Obviously, you did it.
Yeah.
And did you study as well, writing?
Well, I went to the University of California at San Diego, which was a great place. I was exposed to brilliant people. I mean, films, books, literature. Sure. And so that's what I was going to do. I wasn't going to sell laundry equipment, leasing to coin up, whatever. I wasn't going to do
which could be a good business too.
It was a great business. San Diego was
growing. And it keeps you clean.
Not really. Those are some of those corrupt people in the planet.
For sure. It's all about coins and cash.
Skimming,
right?
Yeah. They love to skim. No, I knew at age 18, 19, growing up middle class in a subdivision in San Diego. I just, my parents were great. My mom was a dutiful mother, but she didn't want to have kids, and she had 3 boys, and she was emotionally shut down. And I think now I'm getting a little personal, but Rex knows that. I needed to go to a personal place. I needed to find access. I couldn't play music. I couldn't paint. I couldn't whatever. And so it was for me writing. It was words. It was a way to access emotion to get to that place. Now I'm analyzing that afterward.
Yeah.
And then when I was 19, I took a couple quarters off from school and I read the entire collected works of Carl Jung, all 20 volumes.
My favorite.
Oh,
One
really?
of my favorite men of all
6
time.
6 months, 6 hours a day I read.
Wow.
I didn't know.
Love Carl Jung. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was life. Then I go back to school. Now I'm making movies. I'm writing, watching.
So he changed your life in many ways.
Yeah, he really did.
Those 6 months of the 20 volumes.
Yeah, they did. And all the other reading, I was doing great writers. And of course, I'm seeing great films at the University of California, San Diego. I mean, the French Nouveau Age, Jean Eustache, Godard.
Did you like the Film Noir series?
Of course.
All that era.
All that stuff, out of the past. And, Jacques Tournay.
In your thinking, as you write it to be seen as a play.
That's exactly.
Typically.
As a movie.
As a movie.
Because remember, I've written and directed 2 feature films. So novels have came after filmmaking. But as Alexander Payne says, Rex adapting his novel was easy because he thinks like a screenwriter. So the difference is that screenplays they're dialogue and scene driven. They're dialogue and scene driven as opposed to other novels that could just go on and on with narrative and omniscient narrative. No, I want dialogue and I want scene because it's what makes characters come alive.
For sure.
Just like what we did there. A moment ago, you come alive as Jack, I come alive as Miles. Dialogue does
But
that.
you were trying to sabotage me.
Yeah, I was.
I know that.
No, but what's funny is I got to tell you about that scene quickly because people ask me about that. But Miles is actually reproachful of what Jack is doing. He's about to cheat on his fiance. So when he says, as I'm writing this, no, if anyone orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I'm not drinking it. Basically saying to Jack, I'm a wild card tonight. I'm going to screw up your night if you do this because they're going to blame me. Your fiance is going to blame me. I've tried to hook up here with Maya and she's her best friend. When she finds out, which is one of the main things that happens when she does find out, which is more powerful in the play and the musical, by the way, and we'll get to that in a second. So that's what I'm thinking when I'm writing.
Yes.
Not that he hates Merlot so much, although Merlot had a bad rap at that point, but that's another story that people can Google, whatever. It's that he's saying to Jack, please don't go there.
Yeah.
Because he's being disapproving, but he's not judgmental.
That's right.
There's a difference, John Charles.
Major in the dialogue that you use.
Yeah, it's okay, you want to go there, but then when Jack says we have to call off the wedding, oh no, now I've got a lot of problems. I don't need this problem. So I'm glad we were able to clear this up on JCB Tours. I'm finding it because Miles is saying, please don't go there. And then when he sees that he goes there, it's now going to be, it adds to Miles's problems. But that's conflict. You go there. But it's. I think people come to me.
And were you living that same conflict yourself as you wrote it? Was it really you and a friend in some way, shape, or form? Would you acknowledge that?
I would acknowledge it. It's certainly fictionalized. My friend Roy, what he actually was getting married, whatever. Was he cheating on her? Probably was. I don't know. We fictionalized.
Sure.
Certainly we were up there. We also, bear in mind, we were over imbibing. So that throws in another level of conflict. You don't always know, you're over here. There's, you get to that 2-bottle place.
Yes.
And,
Well, and at dinner with those ladies, you got into the 5-bottle place.
no. And they'd been wine tasting all day.
Wow. And did you select, by the way, all those great wines?
Yeah, and they're very, very happy that I did. I mean, Hitching Post was not being sold anywhere. Their wines were made just to be sold in their restaurant. And
Sea Smoke and the Pommard. You finished with a French wine.
Yeah, no, those were all my decision. And Whitcraft, he was a guy living in a trailer.
Yeah.
And now his wines go for $80 a bottle,
Wow.
So yeah,
it's amazing.
Even for 2 seconds, what we call a beauty shot, you just that. Everyone wanted to drink. I mean, it was how it just changed the wine world. We had no idea. But one thing is it's not only is Miles as me is so passionate, he's got to believe in something.
That's right.
His life is shit. No one's going to publish his novel, and he needs to feel passionate, like you can see with me. I need to feel passionate about something, otherwise life isn't worth living. He feels passionate about his Pinot Noir, which is real. I really did feel that, but everything else is crumbling around him in that place. And I think that, it's in that kind of dynamic that you find, the kind of the truth of the character. He's real. He's three-dimensional. So many characters in novels and in movies, they're two-dimensional in a way. And people will say to me, Steve, he's so real. You changed my life, Rex.
How did you think? Well, tell us about the wine first, because you're the wine expert.
No, you're big
wine
John Charles.
expert. So, dear friends, we just served our latest release from Buena Vista, the oldest winery in the history of California. We got to have a little more.
As my mother used to say, give me a smidgen more.
A smidgen more.
Yeah.
And this is a Chardonnay from Napa Valley, just being released as we speak. See, the real pro don't swallow. And this is where Rex is. We're going to have a fabulous dinner coming out.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the dinner, see, so I've got to.
But he's analyzing, you see. He is, use your best words.
Here's a guy saying, you want to be a lightweight. See, that's what's happening here. So this is 100% Chardonnay.
Yes.
What year is it?
17.
17. So this has had a little bit of cellar age.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean.
Méthode Champenoise, of course. And Buena Vista was the first winery to actually prove to the world that you could make Méthode Champenoise in the same cave as we in 1861.
Yeah, I'm sure they're not like the caves in Champagne, but they're still, they're nice and cool.
Still pretty amazing, right?
Do they go through the whole riddling?
Oh, for sure.
Oh, really?
1/8 every 2 weeks.
Wow, man. See, that's what I love about wine. Not only does, beer and distillates don't inspire poetry. So that's one part of the novel when I wrote it, is that it just inspires that verbiage. Sometimes it can be hyperbolic and ridiculous and purple prose, but I actually like it that people reach for words to describe what is a beverage.
That's right.
It's really a memory. It's not lasting necessarily. In fact, one of the songs in the musical is Drink a Memory.
Ooh.
Because a famous French winemaker, and I forget his name, they were doing a vertical of all his wines. It was a Premier Grand Cru in Bordeaux or someplace. And they asked him what he thought about this 42, and he goes, you know what, I don't know, I'm just drinking a memory. Because there's nothing, because it's going to evaporate.
So what memory does this wine makes you bring back?
It's just, a wedding that went wrong.
Well, we hope if you choose it.
But the premiere of Sideways at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, we were drinking a champagne, and it might have been Buena Vista. I don't know.
Might have been.
And there was a lot of celebration because the audience, there was so much laughter because a lot of people, young people, they see it for the first time on DVD. But I saw it with 2,000 people at the closing night of New York Film Festival. By the way, my ex-wife was there, and she said, I guess I was wrong about burning the novel.
Thank God you didn't.
Yeah, she bought me.
You don't always listen to your wife, or your husband for that matter, dear friends.
Well, people said, about, you got divorced. I said, well, she had started to colonize my unconscious. There would have been no Sideways.
Did you find that in volume 7 of Carl Jung? Colonize my subconscious.
No, I actually got that out of a German film by Wim Wenders called Kings of the Road.
But it must Must have come from Freud then.
Yeah, I'm a Jungian. I'm not a Freudian, But to see it with 2,000 people or 1,500 people is different than seeing on DVD.
Yeah.
Sometimes the laughter is so deafening, John Charles, you can't even hear dialogue for 2 minutes after. It's an electrifying experience, and that's why I hate.
And were you anxious, in a way, worried as you go to the premiere to see how people are going to react, or you felt confident that it was going to be?
I saw it I saw it a couple cuts, but I saw it the first time with 100 people at 20th Century Fox Studio, and you could just tell this film works. Then I wasn't invited, don't get me started on this story, but I wasn't invited to the Toronto Film Festival, but there were 2 screenings where people went nuts. And I got that information. So the first time I saw with a big crowd was in Santa Barbara at the Arlington Theater, 1,500 people. Now it was a pro crowd, a lot of people that were involved in the movie up in the Santa Barbara. They went nuts at that point. But then something else happens. Then there's the critics. Every one of them just rave reviews. You go on Metacritic.
Well, you got 350 awards.
Yeah, I know.
This.
Yeah,
I mean,
then you're waking up every day. LA Film Critics, 5 awards. New York Film Critics, 5 awards or whatever. Every day's Christmas.
And why such a success? In many ways, because you said it, $10 million budget, up and down the California coast, 2 guys. A very simple, no special effects, no adventures on Mars. You know what I mean? You've done Alien 3, so you'll tell us a little bit about that. So there's a lot of supernatural effect there. And you just wrote a great article for Science Fictions magazine. So you love to dream, and very simple. It's a life of...
Thank you. I've been asked this question a lot. I think part of it is that because I bared my soul, I think that movie, you see it in Paul Giamatti. There's something, it hits the human heart.
Yes.
It touches a nerve in so many people. My God, I know that guy. I'm like that guy. I need to change my life. I'm the guy who didn't have it happen, but
we all the same way. In many ways, I have a feeling there's a little Miles in every one of us.
Yeah.
I'm the same.
And there's a little Jack in a lot of people too. So a lot of people relate to him, Yeah. But I think because he's so real and so open and so vulnerable in some ways, and he's self-effacing, people really found him relatable and loved him, even as he's kind of self-abnegating and kind of negative about life. But he does, I am hopeful about life. Yeah. As I said in my autobiography, it is a redemption story because I wrote it when I was at the lowest moment in my life. And then now I have this great success and I'm here with you at Buena Vista, and we're going to put on this concert of songs from Sideways the Musical. We had done the play, which was a huge hit, which I wrote based on my novel.
Tell us, how did it translate as a play? Dear friends, if you haven't seen it, how do we see it today as a play?
Well, they just started rehearsals.
Was it filmed?
No. So they just started rehearsals in Madrid for a 6-month tour there. So a play, it's like the circus, John Charles.
Yeah.
It goes up, the tent comes down. Yeah. But we did a little 50-seat theater in Santa Monica as an experiment. In fact, it was a lark that I even did it at all. And I wrote it, adapted it, but I went deeper. In fact, somebody said, I love the movie, but the player's richer and more emotionally complex. And actually even funnier in some ways. And I got a different winemaker to pour every night, 3 performances a week. And we had winemakers, a lot of them from Sonoma.
For sure.
Came down. Gary Farrell came down. He said, we owe you a debt of gratitude, Rex, for what you've done for Pinot Noir.
Absolutely.
I said, well, you tell that to the Merlot makers. Because they want to kill me, And the play was funny. And I went there 3 performances a week, and it was supposed to run 15, it ran 100. And I was there every night, and I've joked many times, I got more love there every night than I did in my entire childhood.
For sure.
My entire childhood.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Because you hear that laughter. Yeah. Theater. I know you do. I love
theater.
I wasn't in the play every night, but I was in the, and I would sign their programs, and they would ask me questions. You'd hear that laughter. It's a dopamine rush.
It is.
And of course, we poured free wine. Then it went straight from there to La Jolla Playhouse. 400-seat theater, 8 performances a week, 3-time Tony Award-winning director, Des McAnuff. Wow. And it broke all attendance records for a non-musical. And a lot of people who came weren't theater goers. They came because it was Sideways. They wanted to relive it because there's never been a sequel, John Charles. There should have been, but Alexander controls the movie sequel rights. I don't. You can let him know to the camera, we'd love to see a sequel, Alexander, because he's watching. Alexander, we'd love to see a sequel.
I serve you the Chardonnay now.
Okay.
You got to try this
Beautiful
one as well.
glasses. Wow.
Thank you.
Look
well,
at
we
these.
designed it. It's our passion collection.
it? Wow.
Crystal. We
beautiful-
only drink out of crystal.
Beautiful sommelier glass. And it's got weight to it. Real weight to this glass.
It
Wow.
needs to be in the next play or the next musical. Can you promise? So this is one of the iconic wine of Buena Vista. This is actually the Private Reserve 2019,
Wow.
Sonoma County. So we move up north from your Cradle of Love, but this is an amazing area for us and one of our
Well,
best
we
wines as
know
well.
that next to Burgundy, Sonoma is probably, let's be honest, it's probably number 2. There is Central Otago, New Zealand, of course. There's also, Willamette Valley in Oregon.
For sure.
They're 85% Pinot Noir. The Holy Grail is Burgundy. And of course, I pitched you.
Maybe some big news, dear friends, in the future.
Sideways 4, because I've written 2 sequels, Vertical, which actually goes to Willamette Valley, and that won a gold medal for popular fiction from the Independent Publishers Book Award. And then I did Sideways 3 Chile, and who knows where they go next.
Sideways 4.
Sideways
Great
4.
idea. So tell us about this amazing musicals that will happen right here, September
know.
12th, September 13th.
It's incredible. So
In just a little month, dear friends, you can come here, get a ticket. Rex, of course, will be here, and it's going to be quite amazing, right?
So my friend Anthony Adams he's a musical scholar, and a musical genius, and I've only seen 5 musicals in my life. He has seen thousands, literally. And he approached me and said, Rex, I saw the play, I loved it. I think it could be a musical. I said, Anthony, I don't know anything about it. I don't even go to musicals. He said, well, let's think about it. So that was 4 years ago. So he took the play and he broke it down. Here's a song, here's a song, here's a song, following kind of that formula of musical theater. And I wrote the book, I wrote the lyrics. I had to join ASCAP. So I've written plays, screenplays, novels, the book to musical, and now lyrics. I'm a Renaissance man.
Wow.
I'm Charles.
This
Anyway,
is amazing.
so-
You've done it all. And dear friends, September 11 and 12, in
Yeah.
a little month from
Right
now, you should come
And so we wrote it, but of course with the pandemic and lockdown, the theaters, so we decided to do a concert of songs because Anthony started writing the songs and they were so gorgeous. I could play them on my phone, but they wouldn't sound great, and it really, the women characters are much bigger in the musical and the play. They have much more. In the movie, Virginia Matz only has 12 minutes in the movie. People don't know that, but she only has 12 minutes. But in the musical, they're much bigger and it's more lushly romantic. It's still the 2 guys, and it's still bawdy, and they're still up to their hijinks. And Miles is still a guy living on the edge. He takes money from his mom. I know, I hate that. That's bad. And
in an Ajax detergent box.
yeah,
That's
right.
amazing.
I know. Well, that's not in the novel, but anyway, but the musical really, because musicals, what they do is they really accentuate the emotion, and it goes to an emotion, and also the ending of the play and the novel and the musical is different than the movie.
Huh.
I won't give it away. It's different. It will bring a tear to your eye.
Don't tell us.
It's redemptive.
I haven't seen it, dear friends. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I'll be there on both September 11 and 12.
The
so
music is just
join
so
us.
great. So we're going to do 10, 11 songs from the 18 songs from the musical. And I will be on stage introducing them because I need to give them context. Hopefully I'll get through it because I'm not a performer.
Oh, you're an amazing performer. We just saw that.
Okay. Well, I thought you did a better job. You're going to get the Oscar.
So how did it feel when you write such an amazing personal story, get picked up by Mr. Payne, and then they invite you to see different sequence of the movie, obviously, and give us a little bit of an impression of that.
Well, he actually gave me every draft of the screenplay, which I thought was very generous because they don't always do that to novelists. And here's a little quick anecdote. So Maya, Virginia Matz's famous speech about wine, was not in the first 3 drafts of the script. It was just Miles going on about Pinot, and she just goes, huh. And I said to Alexander in the margin, she has to say something. Now, if I'd written it, he wouldn't put it in. And in the 4th draft, this speech came like this, like a half a page, which is long.
Yeah.
And tears fogged my eyes.
Wow.
I didn't think Payne had that emotional capability. I love Alexander, so he'll get it if he sees this. And they shot it, and he tried to cut it in post-production. right up to the end. He said, we got to take it out. It's too sentimental, Rex. It's too sentimental. It's going to date my movie. I said, well, it didn't date Casablanca. What a sentiment. If you know, it's not like the movie is sentimental. If you earn sentimentality, play it. And the last one, he almost cut her speech about wine out. And it never would have been in there had I not prodded him to do it. So when you're seeing it, of course, if you just write a movie about cops or lawyers and it fails, and who cares? It's just but you write, that's you. Miles is Rex Pickett circa 1999. And then you get rejected? They're rejecting you, John Charles. Yep. What if people come here, they say, I don't like Buena Vista. They're saying, I don't like you, John Charles. What did you do with that room over there, or whatever? You feel, it's personal. It's personal. It's a bigger risk. But then when they love it, the love.
So you felt loved?
Not by everybody. not by the people who control my 5 net profit participation points, but we won't go there.
Well, nor the people who made Merlot for a while.
Well, but you know what?
It's back strong.
Well, look, the $5 players left because, and the good ones, Schaefer and others, Duckhorn, they remained standing. It literally cleared the field because they were mechanized farming it. They were making this wine that became, it all started with a 60-minute show about the French paradox. Eat fatty food, drink red wine, whatever. And people rushed to the liquor store for the next vitamin E of the 90s.
That's right.
And they got Cabernet. It was too tannic for their neophyte palates. So they drifted to Merlot because it's fruitier, it's more approachable. For sure. And thus was born a huge industry because people wanted to live longer. It was the vitamin E. So by the late 90s, when I wrote it, Merlot was kind of tantamount to being a Philistine, a wine Philistine. Yeah. And so that's where I kind of drew from. And so now no one could come with Merlot, because it would look like you were a wine. You didn't know anything about wine. You have no taste with wine.
That's right.
I didn't write it for that reason, but it was where kind of Merlot was. And Pinot was nowhere. It was only 1% of the sales of red wine.
Very true.
And now, Sonoma, they're yanking out Zinfandel grapes and our rootstock. I'm not going to take credit, but I do know this. I did have a guy at Arista Winery, and he found out I was there, and he came out and he said, wow, do you realize what you've done for Sonoma Valley? I said, well, I'm looking for my royalty check. I haven't seen it yet. And I go, well, no, thank you. I'm flattered by it. And I genuinely love Pinot, but I love other grapes too. They can be transcendent. But Pinot, those floral, those aromatics, there's something about it, And so that's genuine for Miles, for me.
Now, you've done a lot of other phenomenal plays or books or writings, including Alien 3. So tell us a little bit about it. As I serve you, nobody's going to see it. I'm going to put either Merlot or Pinot, and you'll tell me which one of the two
If I can't tell same, I think you should kick me out of this winery. Okay.
I'm stealing 2 bottles of wines, dear friends.
All right, I'm not looking.
And I'm going to disappear as you answer that question. I'm not going to make it that easy.
All right. You know what he's going to do? He's going to do a blend on me. He's going to do a blend.
So now I'm hiding 2 bottles that I just poured.
Boy, if I get this wrong.
What about if I did indeed blend the 2 wines? Is that an option?
I don't know. That's a pretty.
Did I do that as a trick on you?
Well, but John Charles, if you did that in Burgundy, you would be in leg irons.
I'd be guillotined.
Guillotine. Oh, that's funny.
You would see my head as a feature on top of the caves.
Cheers.
I give you a little time to think and tell us about this fantastic Alien 3. Because that's a big deal. Who could have said, I've participated in this amazing...
Well, it was David Fincher's first feature. He was 25 years old. And my ex-wife, the one who told me to burn sideways, she was his Uber assistant. And they were having troubles with the screenplay. They flew me into London under cloak of darkness. And I rewrote the entire script in 9 days. No one knew it.
9 days?
Yeah, and then they presented me to 20th Century Fox. And, they hired me. And the producers script I'd rewritten, they all flew off. Huh. And I worked with David Fincher writing the last draft of Alien 3, and then some other stuff happened that wasn't great stuff. And I just wrote a long piece about what really happened to Alien 3 into the script that I wrote that wasn't ultimately shot. And it's a 20,000-word article in Fantastique magazine, a French magazine. It's both in English and French. So it's quite a story. It's an inside story about how Hollywood really works at the upper level. We're talking the $100 million level.
Wow.
And the writing was easy. It was the politics that were hard.
That's the issue often. So what really inspires you, Rex? Because you've done so many diverse, phenomenal writings. I mean, what a skill. Often people go one way, have one style. I mean, you have the ability to really chameleonize this subconscious of yours.
I've never heard chameleonize as a verb, but I'm gonna.
Me neither.
I'm gonna. I
If you're
like
talking
that.
to a Frenchman, he might as well invent
No,
new
but
words.
I'm actually like, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you here before I drink this fucking Merlot. You know, for a lot of writers, I'm different. Money doesn't inspire me. If it did, I would have gotten into TV.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be Rex Pickett. I'd just be the guy who wrote on whatever show was hot or whatever. You're just one of many writers. What inspires me is that my voice, whatever it is, and I'm not arrogant about this at all, and I don't care about money. All I care about is one thing, and that is free time. To be able to write what I want to write and express myself. And if I can move you, and I know I have, because we just did a scene.
Of course,
and I know you're here and you're talking.
And I was there when...
And I know you're not being, you're not being disingenuous.
Absolutely
I
not.
think you're an honest guy, I really do. And I get it from other people. And that means that I touched you.
Yeah, for
that
sure
I touched you. And then here, because there's one thing money can't buy. And everyone says, of course, happiness. Oh no, money will buy happiness. We can go first class. We can do this and that. Money won't buy you immortality. We're all gonna die. But you know what?
I hear the more we drink wine, the less early we'll die. Is it true?
That's right. That's true. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you've written something, you've created something that lives beyond you.
For sure.
And I'm not going to, analogize myself to people who've been remembered. I want to be remembered.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's
Ultimately,
honesty as well.
And I want to touch you when somebody comes up to me and says, Rex, I read your novel and I quit my job. I just want to change my life. I said, well, I'm sorry you're broke now. No, I'm kidding. Sorry I ruined your life. Sorry you got divorced. No, but I'm saying it's when you touch somebody.
Yes.
And because I'm doing it, remember, yes, there is this voice and this person and this person who's lived this life, but all I have is words. I'm not a painter. All I have is words, John Charles. So with words,
those will live forever, though.
well, even if they only live 50 years, that's a victory. I grew up middle class. My work is at Geisel Library next to Dr. Seuss. And so my new novel coming out in November is called The Archivist because...
Yeah, tell us about The Archivist.
Not to promote it, but because you asked about inspiration, I gave my papers over. I went to Chile and I came back from Chile. We'd done the play and now we're going to do the next version of the play at La Jolla Playhouse, which is on the campus of my alma mater, the University of California, San Diego. And I was doing a faculty club dinner, 300 people. And this woman comes up to me and she goes, hi.
It's always a woman each time.
I know, it is.
You're a magnet, a magnet.
It comes up to me.
Are you sure you're Miles or you Jack? I think you're a combination of both.
I aspire to be Jack. No,
Or maybe you're too much Jack and you want to be Miles again.
you have to understand, it was written before Sideways became a hit. After Sideways became a hit, suddenly, I'm 10 years younger. I'm the greatest lover in the world. I'm Casanova. But aside from that, but she comes up to me at the faculty club dinner and said, I just gave like 50, 100 boxes of writings and film. I thought they were just going to put Pickett on it and put it in a warehouse. Oh no. She goes, hi, I'm your archivist. And shook my hand. I went, oh my God. She goes, would you like to see what we've done? I'm about to cry now. I swear to God. I go down into Special Collections and Archives at Geisel Library. It's an extraordinary library. And we go down and there's these gray document boxes with typewritten, Rex Pickett papers, volume 2, folder, whatever, box after box. This woman had spent 6 months reading stuff that I'd never even read. She found stuff in the box. I should have gone through the boxes because she actually found some condom wrappers and some other things. We won't go. She said, those are out of scope, Rex. She even said, and she said to me at one point, I'm getting off, she said, who's Herb Tons? I went, oh my God. It was a porno.
Getting off with the condom.
It was a porno novel I'd written under a pseudonym, and so she knows me better than I do. But when I saw all these boxes, I went to LA because I never had kids in my life with maybe 5 boxes. I returned with 50, and there they are, memorialized in Special Collections and Archives.
Amazing.
Anyone can go and read the 240 rejection letters for Sideways, whatever. And I was so moved. And I started talking to her, and thus was born The Archivist. And now it's a mystery novel, and so that's coming out.
How many volumes?
Well, that's a 750-page book.
Wow.
Yeah, it comes out November 9th, and it's one of the.
So
it's not
we hope you'll come back to the wine country.
It's
we
not
can speak about it.
I will. It's not a comedy. It's a mystery, and it's about truth, and it's about the ethics of archivists. But it's really a tragic love story. I love tragic love stories.
Is it your love story as well?
All my
The
love
second
story.
one?
All my love. I think I
The
bring.
third one?
I think I bring on tragedy so I have material.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
And why not?
Why not? Yeah. Except they didn't get into it to be material. See, they didn't get into it to be tragedy.
That would be a great title for a movie, The Archivist.
Well, it was originally, you don't know this, I originally wrote it as an 8-episode teleplay,
Huh.
530 screenplay pages. I was like on a high when I finished it, and then I got a call from Rick Bleiweiss of Blackstone. He says, we're a publishing house now. We're not just doing audiobooks. They'd done all my Sideways audiobooks. I said, Rick, I wrote a teleplay of a novel. Imagine I adapted a novel I didn't write. I want to write that novel. He says, fine. And I did. So that's what's coming out. So it could be a limited series, but the key is now I want to go back to comedy. Miles, he goes somewhere, and we don't know where he's going, but.
So that's the next chapter of Sideways.
Yeah, well, I'm doing my autobiography, but the autobiography is easy to write because I just have to dip my foot in there. I'm a no holds barred guy. I don't, I'm hardest on myself. True.
Well,
but I really want to see Miles in more of a little more philosophical place. Not so much. I don't know if I went to Burgundy. See, you could be my Jack, and I could immortalize you, John Charles. Not that you aren't already.
You will fossilize me. The fossils of Burgundy.
Well, that is a form of immortalization. It's
That's for
fossilization.
sure. So is that a Merlot or is that a Pinot? What do you think? Moment of truth, dear friends. Moment of truth. I've opened both of those bottles of wine.
Pinot Noir for sure. Isn't it? It's Pinot Noir.
Well, I don't know. Where is it from?
Boy, it tastes, it's explosive. This is levitational.
Ooh, keep going with those words. It's a new back label. It's levitational, dear friends.
Georg Riedel? Mm-hmm. So back then I did this thing, without Riedel, I won't drink wine. And he used that for a while. So I've got to come up with something for you.
For sure.
No, I would say
without Pinot, I won't survive.
And this is like it's just got such, it's geologic.
Oh.
Yeah, it's got geologic.
Leviathan and geology. I love it. You are winning, Rex. Pinot Noir Geza. This is the older son of the Count of Buena Vista, dear friends. This is the
really
2019 vintage.
Terrific wine.
Petaluma Gap. This is a terrific wine, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I was going to play with you with a little bit of Merlot in the Aristocrat.
But this is so unmistakably Pinot, and it's so unmistakably Sonoma too, because it's got. Sometimes Pinots can be thin, or sometimes they're. Here's the other thing. In California we have that 75% rule. So you know what they do? I'm not going to name the winemakers. They'll bring it to overripeness to get the ripeness out of it, and then now they get 18% alcohol, so they water it back.
That's right.
That's free volume. That's leg irons in Burgundy. They'll put you in the village square, and they will put you in one of these, whatever. But this is 100% Pinot Noir for sure. And there's just this is a fantastic wine. And I always ask about price because we bring price expectation to wine because I'm coming out with a wine from Chile, Oh yeah, I have 4 wines coming out with Chile. They're low. They're all under $15, $17, and they're entering the U.S. right now. Rex Pickett Sideways.
Oh, because of the
because I was down there, and a guy I met down there when I did Sideways 3 Chile. I met him, and he said, "Would you consider putting your name on?" I said, "Yeah." I didn't make any money off the movie because they ripped me off. So I want to monetize this brand. They're naming hotels after me.
Yeah.
We're doing, but I don't care about money, John Charles. I really don't.
Yeah.
I care about free time and friends. People who I feel like I can talk to and be honest with, and just like they're there for me. And I don't care if I only have a few. That's what else is there in life? I don't need to jet to every country in the world or whatever. That doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah. If I have control,
what's actually your dream?
My dream?
If you had one to explain to us or to translate to us?
Well, honestly, right now, I'm pretty excited about Sideways the musical. So we're doing a concert of songs, but the full musical, we have Kathleen Marshall, 3-time Tony Award winner, who's attached when theater opens up. I'd love to see, because there's never been a sequel, and there should have been. That's my other dream, is that Alexander does a sequel. We should see Giamatti again. Even if we don't see Jack, we should see Giamatti, and I would write it. But for the musical to be staged live, because the play is it's funny. It's so funny, and it's so emotional, and music just would lift it, hoist it to new heights. And to see it staged really well with the right budget and everything else, that would be a dream. And then maybe, move somewhere and finish my autobiography.
Yeah.
I'd be happy.
So you're on the verge of
I honestly don't need to own.
But those are great dreams.
I don't need to own expensive cars. I just need to own this.
So now, as you own this in many ways,
Yeah.
what is your most fun and crazy memories with Jack and Miles in person? I'm sure you have two things before your last big message to all of us.
Boy,
Because I'm sure you have a lot of fun to share, as everybody's going to go back and watch the movie again because...
Or you want to hear a really profane,
Yes.
somewhat profane story. So I told you about Epicurus, the winery where I started with my friend Julian.
Yep.
So the owner would leave and go off would be with his mistress. He knew nothing about wine. And Julian was unhappy about his salary. So he took out his unhappiness on the inventory. And so
I've heard those stories.
Okay, yeah, I know, I'm sure you have. Yeah, probably right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so you got to watch them. And the inventory was unaudited. So one day Julian goes, we're having a Pinot blowout. And this is where it started. He opened every Pinot Noir in the store. And then, of course, the more, bibulous the evening grew on, and he locked all the doors. This is an incredible memory. And my friend Roy, Jack, was there. And he actually introduced me to Julian, so I owe him a huge debt to that. And then he went into the locked case and he started opening Williams Cellium. I think he was sacked after this, after the guy came back from his mistress, and we drank every Pinot Noir in the store.
Wow.
And then he went so crazy, he went upstairs. There was this open area, and he got the fire extinguisher, and he sprayed the entire store with the fire extinguisher. And there was this gray smoke, and we left, and the next
So
morning,
it's a good way to kick you out, really?
yeah. I mean, he just went crazy, after he'd had, I'd say easily several $1,000s worth of Pinot Noir.
Wow.
Every Pinot Noir in that store he opened. And I came back next morning, he was just sitting there at the desk. He had 3 people working there dusting off bottles because the owner had been in Napa and was coming back. He had to get the store back. So that's a memory, but it was a crazy time. I love taking you to the crazy. In fact, in the book and in the play and in the musical, but not in the movie, Miles and Jack get so drunk, they meet a boar hunter. And he says, come out with me and I'm going to shoot wild boar. And Miles goes, let's go out there, let's do it. I want some fun or whatever. And Jack's going, you're crazy, you're crazy. This is one of the funniest scenes in the play. They follow him out into the middle of nowhere. These guys really exist. There's a lot of wild boar in the San Ynez Valley. And the guy starts shooting at them. And they have to turn, it's a hilarious scene in the play or whatever. So there's a lot of, that nuttiness and craziness and how you kind of escaped and you have those memories and you talk about them. Now, I didn't do that. I did meet the boar hunter, but I didn't go out with them because I wasn't that crazy, but that's the fiction. The fiction writer in me would take that to that level. But that day at Epicurus, that's a true story. That was pretty,
so much fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It was nutty. At some point, you got to grow up. You also got to go to the typewriter and hope, you're not in jail.
You write with a typewriter still?
No.
Computer still?
Yeah, computer now and actually.
Because I know some writers who still use a traditional typewriter.
Yeah, but the thing is I can type so much faster on a laptop. And actually the Archivist, which is 750 pages, of course, I'm coming off of a teleplay. I wrote the first draft in 90 days. Wow. 225,000 words.
God.
All I have to do is put my foot in the stream now because
and it comes.
Yeah,
You drink a little Pinot and Merlot. Meanwhile, you write.
No, Hemingway said, write sober, edit drunk, but
Write sober, edit drunk.
Yeah, that's what he said. But what Elizabeth Taylor said, success is the best deodorant. So when I'm writing now, it's not like I have. What did we talk about when we were doing the scene? Paralysis by overanalysis. Where you got the critics on your shoulder. The critics aren't on my shoulders. Yeah, sure, I'm hurt if somebody doesn't like something. But when I go in to write, Everyone rejected Sideways, 240 rejection letters.
Yeah.
And it went on to gross $500 million, wins all the, how could so many people be so wrong?
Yeah.
So once you know that and you did that and you proved them all wrong.
Gives you confidence.
Yes, it does. That's exactly right. Yeah.
So on that beautiful note, what's your message?
This is a beautiful note.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
really.
you.
I mean, I'm back in.
Coming from you.
I'm back in the Russian River. I'm back in Sonoma for sure.
Hey, we need you. Central Coast is great, but you're going to come up here too.
Yeah, Central Coast is maybe a tad overrated because of a movie called Sideways, but
Ooh.
but they're getting better because remember something about wine. This is why wines are so great in France. They've been doing it for 1,000 years, and it's an analog experience.
Yes.
Every year,
Empirical.
and then you change a couple things. But you have to have a year to figure it out.
That's
They've been
right.
doing it for 1,000 years. They've only been doing it for 50 years in the San. They've only been doing it for 70 years, 80, maybe a little bit more. We're learning every year,
sure.
and you're going to get better and better. Of course, Sonoma is better because they've been doing it longer. In my opinion, But
Well, thank you for saying that to Sonoma. Now, Rex, what's your big message to everyone on the camera right now? The big message of life or whatever you wish. Besides inviting everybody September 11, September 12, of course, here in Sonoma at the Buena Vista Winery. We'll have a lot of fun. You'll get to meet Rex in person, touch him, feel him, caress him. All of you ladies, just hold on a little bit. Wait till the end of the
I think
play.
those days are over. Well, I'm going to quote myself here, but people think I live a charmed life, but they wouldn't want to live the life I've lived in order to live the ostensibly charmed life I'm living. But my point is this: I meet so many people who've done this and this in life because they wanted to be safe, they wanted to be secure. And I look back at my dad. He punched out a major colonel. They grounded him. You're not going to let me fly? Screw your Air Force. I'm leaving a great career. I'm going to take a risk. $500, 3 kids he did, and he made a success of himself. I'm a risk taker. Take risk.
Yes.
And I know we hear that all the time, take risk, but how many, what I do is not an avocation. I don't do this in my spare time. It is a life. It comes before everything. I hate to say it. It comes before girlfriend, spouse. It comes before pets, even though I have a beautiful little cat I just got. But it comes before everything.
Yeah.
It is a life. And if you can't, but everyone wants to live the life, but they don't really want the consequences. And I will take those risks.
True.
I will go to that place. Because when I wrote Sideways, I'm telling you, the copper had been scraped off the tuppence. Seriously. I had nothing. Dead nothing. And I wasn't 25 anymore. I won't tell you what I was, but I wasn't 25. That's a hard place to be. But you know what? When I wrote and I was writing it and I was laughing, I was soaring. It was when I had to stop for the day that suddenly, I was depressed. I had to deal with whatever. But then the next day I wrote again and I'm soaring. And I want people to believe that if you take those risks and you go to those places, you can soar.
What to add? Rex Pickett, novelist and filmmaker.
And now librettist and lyricist.
And winemaker too.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Dear friends, come on September 11th. We cannot wait.